going on, guys? Model T Day, yet again. So where we left this thing, it was shooting fire with the exhaust, which is pretty awesome. But of course I had all rigged up off a starter and a battery on the side and jumper cables and everything. So I want to get that kind of squared away so maybe it actually turns and runs on a key. I pulled the fuel tank out because it was leaking. Believe it or not, none of my welds leaked. Where it's all pitted and rusted here, it was leaking. So I put some seal all on there and hopefully it'll get me started at least. Ultimately, I just got to go spend the money and buy a moon tank. So, stopped by Princess Auto today. I bought a little ignition switch, a little fuse panel, 6 blades, or 6 2-blade fuses. I gotta think that's all I'm really gonna need on this thing. The electric fuel pump, headlights, taillights, turn signals, a wiper. I think that's all I'm gonna have on it. An electric fan. I had an old battery tray off 55 Chevy, so I cut it up and I welded it to the frame and then to the body bracing. So that's gonna be where it's gonna go, and it should fit under there. It won't be any issues. So I'll just ground one to the frame, and then I found this wire I had. I don't know. I think it's number 2, but it's all short strand, like, or whatever, thin stuff. So I'm hoping that'll be good enough. Run it to the front. I don't think this thing has much of an alternator in it, being it's some sort of old 283. So I should be able to do that. Run that up to the front. I'll run that up into the starter, and then the starter from there I can run my wire to the alternator and one to the little fuse panel or something like that right there, which I can start running my power off of. So we got that going on. Before I go too crazy, I want to work on that double U-joint thing on the steering, see how that's going to work out. And while I'm in the back here yet, I'm going to kind of weld. I welded it from the front side back with some plug welds. But I was going to just put a few tack welds just because it's got a little bit of flex. Just give it a few, zap around, it ain't going anywhere. And then I can seam seal it or whatever I want to do and coat it all black with some undercoating or truck bed coating, which hopefully I still have. So yeah, that's the plan. Then once I have it all done, the only thing I might have to change will be the fuel tank, which are expensive, those moon tanks. I gotta say, that one was free, other than a pile of labor. I mean, it's one of those things that might last, but it's leaking fuel is one of the things that bothers me. So that's the plan. I'm gonna start doing a little bit of welding before I start messing with the gas again, because that's those two don't go well together. Maybe you guys knew that. All right, let's get to it. Well, so I got it all together, welded up, painted. I actually am doing a bunch of welding underneath the car. I didn't do any filming, but all the motor mounts are, geez, nope, they're not motor mounts, they're body mounts. I weld just the sides of them, so I do the underside. So I did all that, and same with the brakes, that little bracket. I only weld the top and tack the bottom, so I welded that in complete. So that's all good. Otherwise, I put my little negative, and I just welded a bolt to the chassis for my little ground lug. It's a little too long, but again, I had it in stock, so I'm going to use. The positive, a little on the weak side, but hopefully it'll be good. So it's going to run along the frame, down, and all the way to the front. Pretty simple stuff. In here, I mounted the fuse block. So I'm just going to use 6 fuses on the whole thing, maybe less. We'll see how she goes. This is where the wire is going to go. I thought I had an end for it. I don't, so I gotta get one tomorrow. But that'll just put power right to the starter, and then I have a wire here, which is going to run to the alternator, and then I'll probably run another wire from that to the ignition switch, whichever I have, I'm not too sure. Then I can tag off of that and run the switch power for the panel. Pretty simple. The gas tank, I schmoed it up. It's got some gas in it. I was kind of sloshing it around, spinning it and everything, letting it sit in different positions for you know, half hour at a time, and it ain't leaking. So we're gonna call that fixed for now. I probably should buy a proper tank. But yeah, it's going pretty good. Oh, this is the ignition switch. So it's just got 4 lugs on it. This one here is going to have constant power, so I guess I'm going to run right from the starter to this, which will give me 12 volts right from the battery. It's got accessories, so that'll have power if you turn the key once to the left, which I won't use because there's no radio or anything like that, which you would use it for. Then it's got crank and on keyed power, so the keyed power will feed the panel. So everything on that little panel or fuse block will have switch 12 when the key is turned on, and the one obviously for crank, I'll run it from there back to the starter on the starter solenoid. So right, that little one right there, which will key it over. So pretty simple. I gotta drill a couple holes. I gotta put some grommets in there because a few things are gonna go through. I need to figure some way for the exciter wire or the dome light and all that sort of 12 volts to the alternator. The starter has to go through as well as the coil goes through the firewall, so I just got to get some sort of little hole. I mean, it already kind of has one, but we'll see. Get that in there. I'll also have to do the fan, so I got to get a relay in that whole setup. I'll get one off Amazon if I can. I like those ones you just kind of put a pipe into the head, and it's got an automatic on-off switch for temperature as it goes. And then I got to run 12 volts. Well, I already have the wire for the fuel pump up to that as well. Pretty simple. And then I just picked up a spool of trailer wiring, so it's four-way wire, whatever you want to call it. And that could be headlights and taillights. So that's pretty much that. That's where I'm at right now. I'm still waiting on headlights and taillights, unfortunately. But yeah, lots and lots of progress. Kind of tedious and boring, but I'm hoping make some. It's supper time now, so I'm gonna take a break. I'll hopefully back out or not later. But everything's kind of started. I got a list of stuff to get tomorrow, and I still got to get on that steering. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked on it. See you guys later. What's going on, guys? It's the next day. It is smoking hot outside. It's like, I don't know, 95 degrees. And it's actually a little cooler in the garage right now, so I'm going to leave the door down for a little bit until I ruin that. So on the way home from work, you also got to deal with shorts and flip-flops. It's way too hot. I pick up some grommets, a few other little things there. So if I do that, I start drilling holes in the firewall, and I'm going to start run the wires on this sucker. I did find a little wire or end for the starter, so I can hook that up. Then I'm going to start kind of tagging off all those things I want to do, drill a little hole, run the wires through, and go from there. Hopefully I can put the ignition switch in, and maybe even have this thing kind of do its thing with the key. That'd be pretty slick, eh? So that's the plan for now. So I think it'll be a little bit of tripod time lapse. Because, I mean, I don't know if you want me to explain every little thing. If you have a question, leave a comment. I'll try and answer it the best I can. But these old Chevys are pretty simple motors. So yeah, we'll get after it. All right, before you judge, I got no fuses on this thing because I'm a bonehead and I forgot. But I had this little connector. I don't know what else this is even for. It's like a little ATV battery or something, but it worked just fine. Oh, that's loose. Oh, I gotta tighten that. So the power is coming from the battery. Now this one here is going back through the firewall to the ignition switch. This one here is going to go to the alternator for the charging system. This wire here is a little overkill, but that went to the starter solenoid. And then I have one of these is the fuel pump and the other one is the coil. They're all going through a little grommet. I'll clean that up, put some looming on it or something. Inside the car, you guys probably saw me struggle. I thought, oh, this would be a cool place for the key. Drilled a hole, didn't realize that's where all the structure was for the fuel tank. So that's a nightmare. Anyway, so there's 3 wires going to the ignition key. This one here is the battery. This one here is going to go to the fuse panel. So when the accessories are on, it'll work. So let me just show you here. Bear with me. So right now, this is tricky. So right now there's no power to it, obviously. And if man, this is embarrassing. So there you go, and if I turn the key once over, it lights up. So that's what's going to power the fuse panel. And that'll have power on one click and on crank. And then this is the smaller wire that goes to the starter solenoid. So at this point, there's no power to the fuse panel, which is where the coil is going to go, and the fuel pump, but this thing will roll over. Cranks just fine, so I guess that battery cable is long enough. So now what I gotta do, hope it's not too dark under here, I don't know my light, but there's this lug right here. That's where this wire is gonna go. I'll probably shorten it up. It'll go there. That'll then feed power to these 6 fuses, of which this one here is, I believe that's the coil I have hooked up. This one here is real long. That'll be the fuel pump, and that'll leave me lights and stuff like that. So I'm going to zip under the car, get the fuel pump wire secured. So if I have to trim that wire, it's good. I'll run this wire to it, and I'll bring it back, and I'll show you, hopefully it'll start up. Yeah, fingers crossed. All right, guys, well, I ran the wire for the fuel pump, and I hooked up the panel. So in theory, as I kick this on, the pump should kick on, which it does. So that's good. Now, the gas tank isn't in it, but I think there was a squirt of fuel in the carb, so we'll see if it'll fire up. So there you go. That worked out pretty good. Now, I got no gas pedal yet. I found this one in the basement. I think it's like a G-body or something. So I can kind of put down the Firewall and have some sort of gas pedal, and then I might get this tacked in yet tonight and call it there. I think that'll be lots for a video, because that way steering will be kind of but a gas pedal, that's what really matters. And this did have all mechanical linkage, so I think I'll probably just put like a wire or something like that. I don't think I have any. I can find a bike cable, but for now, worst case, I can drill a hole in the Firewall and just run a piece of spare wire through to give it some revs. Alright, well, we're working away at it. Got the door up, it's actually cooling off a little. So I just temporarily hooked up the throttle. So I found this is actually off an old manual choke, just going through the Firewall with a little adjuster on it. So now what I can do is I can put a bike cable kind of on there doing its thing, and the cable will run through it, and the outer coating will butt up against there, so that'll be golden. Everything's just temporary, so don't judge. Well, don't judge too hard, I should say. So I got this pedal. I had to bend it a little bit. Like here, decent. This is not going well. So I got the pedal in here. I had to bend it up for it to work. So ultimately, if I bend it a little more up and then kind of flatten her down, it'll be not bad. But it does have wide open, so it's actually not terrible. And this, now you guys can hopefully eliminate some of the judging. I got this double wobble, so it's at hopefully more of a satisfactory angle. I had this heim just to hold it. I just welded it to the firewall. It's obviously not permanent because the firewall doesn't have enough strength. But this plate, what I was thinking is continuing the plate down to my floor brace, go through, then I can attach it there. But it's, you know, it's happy, it doesn't bind or nothing like that. Life should be good there. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. That's very livable. Like I said, the heim's the only thing I gotta deal with, so I'll strip that down with a piece of steel. I gotta get a rubber boot around that. You guys recommend like a clutch or a e-brake or a shift stick thing, so I'll try that. This piece is already dealt with. All I gotta do is then make the one piece around the brake. That's not too bad. So yeah, the fuel tank's sitting out there. I think I'm gonna put it back in the car, fill it full of fuel, and see if I can get this thing to kind of run on the key and rev with the pedal, right? Because that's always fun. That's always the essentials. So yeah, next time you see it, I'll have the pedal or the tank in there. We'll test this pedal and all that out. But been a pretty good night, productive night, that's for sure. All right, got the fuel tank in. I'm pretty beat, but put the seat in. So I'm thinking Dani's kind of iffy on this hot rod, so it will be better to get her on side than getting in and firing it up and getting to rev the snot out of it with the side pipes and open exhaust. So she'll either love it or hate it. So she's out right now. So I'm gonna do a little cleaning up because it's just trashed in here like usual. And we'll come back, fire it up, see what she thinks of it, call her a video. All right, see you guys in a bit. She made her. It's full blown dark out.
All right. Are you waiting for me?
I was waiting for you.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, the seat's very dirty.
It's a hot rod.
What do I do?
Well, you're gonna want to shut the door because it's gonna shoot fire at your foot. Don't worry, we're safe-ish. I fired up. Do you want a set of muffs?
What?
Do you want some muffs?
Yeah.
Alright, Dani made her home. She's all geared up with her safety muffs. Okay, fire it up and rev it. That was a couple of good ones. Alright. Like, share, subscribe. Tell them.
Like, share, subscribe!
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends!
We'll do it once more in the dark, so I think that'll be cool too, in super slow-mo. Alright, see you guys on the next one.